afternoon, everyone. Come on, you can do better than that. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, there's like a rally of some sort. Folks, it's a real genuine pleasure for me to be asked to join you here today. And for those of you who don't know who I am, and I know a ton of you won't, I think I should give you a tiny bit of an introduction. My name is David Meade. I'm a mind reader or a mentalist. I've got a show on BBC One that's been there for about 5 years now. If you haven't seen it, I want you to know that that is deeply offensive to me. It's watched by almost 12 people every single week, which makes me kind of a big deal in Banbridge. And in that show, my job is to make it look like I can read people's minds. So a little bit like Darren Brown. I do everything that he does, except I do it cheaper and camper. What you won't have realized, probably, if you've only seen the TV show, is that most of my work actually is in the corporate world. I was an academic with the University of Ulster for a very long time in the School of International Business. And most of my work these days is working with corporate clients. And for that reason, I'm fascinated by innovation. And I'm fascinated by brilliant, great, and exciting ideas. And that's why I was so pleased to be asked to join you all here. There are 3 things that I am passionate about in my life. The first thing is innovation. That's the ability to take either new or old ideas and use them in new or old ways. That's all innovation is. Ignore everyone else who gives you all of that nonsense, crass, skin-crawling, nauseating stuff about innovation. It's just new or old ideas used in new or old ways. The second thing I'm passionate about is integration, particularly in education. My wife and I, we're a mixed couple, which means I was raised a Catholic and she's going to hell. And integration is a huge part of everything that we do. And the third thing that I'm really passionate about, I'm going to talk about at the very end of my talk, but we'll get to that in a second. But I'm conscious of the fact that you've just had a little bit of lunch. It was delicious. So I think I need to warm you up. I promise you this is going to be the most excruciating 30 seconds of your day. But follow my instructions. Everyone stand up for me, please. Stand up. I know you already wish you stayed at home. I know. Now, everyone needs to follow my instructions very, very carefully. I'm going to break the rules and leave the dot here in a second, but everyone shake out your hands for me. Shake out your hands. Now, I'm conscious of the fact there's quite a lot of very cheap fake tan in the room, so try not to touch anyone as you're doing this. Turn your hands so your thumbs are pointing down for me, please, and then place your right hand on top of left for me. Then I need you to interlock your fingers and follow my rules. The rules are, and I'm going to check a few people, you need to keep your arms absolutely straight out and to the front, and also make sure that you don't unlock your fingers. If you do break the rules, please do bear in mind that I am a mentalist, and if I need to, I can make you wet the bed. Frankly, I get off on it. I can make you stop if it's already an issue. So, folks, for the next 63 minutes... No, folks, without unlocking your fingers and without bending your arms, turn your hands so your thumbs are pointing up for me, please. I'll give you a couple of minutes, Ted. It's this till 4 o'clock. And give yourselves a big round of applause. You take a seat, give yourselves a big round of applause as you take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. One of 2 things happened there. Either you received too much information, in other words, more than I communicated, or you received too little. And see that little gap in communication? There are a huge amount of opportunities that exist for all of us in that gap, and I want to demonstrate that to all of you now, along those 3 lines. Remember, I want to talk about innovation, integration, and then the last little issue that I'll talk about at the end. Now, for this to work, I need someone to help. Oh, the energy in the room. If I just don't look them in the eyes, then I'm invisible. I'm going to have someone help me, and it's going to be this lady here. What's your name?
Dervla.
Dervla, no, your name is Mortified. Give her a round of applause as she makes her way up. Let's hear for Dervla, everyone. Now, Dervla, if you could hold on to that mic for me. Now, Dervla, and I mean this most sincerely, I promise you, if you could keep that nice and close to your mouth, I promise you I'm not going to embarrass you, all right? What are you going to sing for us, Dervla? Now, Dervla, I am fascinated by the way that we as individuals look at innovation and how we apply new ideas, because it can seem like an impossible challenge to integrate it either into our lives or into our organizations. It can seem like a real puzzle. So that's why I've come up with this just for today, Dervla. And by the way, what organization do you work for?
Myself.
Oh, you work for yourself? Excellent. What sort of business is it?
It's actually what that guy's doing, graphic facilitation.
Oh, right, okay. Graphic facilitation.
Yes.
You do pictures, Dervla?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, honestly, I'm fascinated. What is your biggest challenge in that? Is it reaching the marketplace? Is it, I suppose, introducing them to the idea that your service is useful and something they would...
Yeah, and also communication, as you mentioned there. through drawing. Yeah.
So kind of getting the message
Idea
out.
process.
Okay, excellent. Well, do you know what? We all have our own challenges in our own organizations, and I think the wonderful thing about TED is it's a great place to find out new ways of looking at things. And I want you to imagine for a moment, Dervla, if we could just get this up on the screen, this puzzle would represent your business or your organization. And let's say, Dervla, that this is 100% of what it can achieve. This red frame, you can see it's virtually millimeter perfect there. There's no room to wiggle. All of the pieces fit directly inside that box, and there really isn't a great deal of wiggle room there at all. But all organizations, just like your own business, Dervla, need to go through times of challenge and change, and it can be a really difficult time. So for instance, let's say if we take this organization, could be public sector, could be private sector, and we take it out of its comfort zone. Now, to look at this, Dervla, you would swear that this organization is in disarray. It's tried to do something different, and it's just ended up in a mess. But if we just look at this in a slightly different way, we can realize that with a bit of innovation, with a little bit of creativity, and with a little bit of time, this organization can slowly begin to regroup and reform and find its way. And we can see that although it has come out of its comfort zone, it is still fundamentally the same organization doing the same work, and it still fits millimeter perfect inside its sort of operational framework. But Dervla, the heart of innovation is trying to achieve more and doing it in a slightly different way. So every once in a while, someone always comes along and says, well, this is all very well that you're doing that, but I need you to achieve this extra 10%. And this seems impossible, Dervla. This seems like, well, do you know what, in the short term, we could just tag this project, whatever it may be, onto the side of how our organization is working, and we'll hope that it'll eventually be integrated, but we can see there that actually it really doesn't fit. It seems like an impossible challenge, and lazy organizations, public or private, Dervla, what they might do is just set it on the top, force it from below, and hope that it eventually reaches the grassroots of the organization, but it never really does. And you can see, if we were to just tag that on the side, there is literally no room in there for it. You can see a little clearly than everyone else, but you can see there's no room for that extra piece. Yeah. But, Dervla, with a tiny bit of reorganization, by just looking at this challenge in a slightly different way, we can see that if we just, and your job, by the way, is to make sure that I don't steal any pieces, Dervla, all right? We can see that with a tiny little bit of reorganization, whatever this innovation is, with a bit of creativity, we can see that it can slowly start to be integrated. Now, we can see there that it isn't fully integrated yet because there's still a piece sticking out. But if we just stick with it, sometimes even the biggest innovations, Dervla, don't answer that, it's very bad news. Little mentalist joke there for you, Dervla. I'll point them out as we find them. But you can see, even though a moment ago that piece didn't fit, with the tiniest bit of reorganization, we can see that that really can be integrated into the work that we're doing. And it still fits within the same organizational framework. It's still doing the same things. I know, Ted, shut the front door. However, Dervla, but you know the minute that you achieve that, the minute that you get that 10%, that little innovation, the minute that you achieve that, someone somewhere goes, well, hold on. If you've got that extra 10%, how come you weren't doing that all the time? This time, 20%. Twice as big as the first one. We know that this doesn't fit, Dervla. You can see, for the benefit of everyone else who doesn't have an overhead shot, you can see that that definitely doesn't fit. Dervla, you've got 60 seconds. Not really. Her wee face. You should see her wee face. And again, Dervla, we could just stick it on the side and hope that eventually it gets integrated. But really, we can see in the long term, that's just going to get, that will never really get properly invested in part of the organization. And I like to think about this as integration in education in particular, because at face value, sometimes it can feel like a really impossible challenge. If you're starting at day one to make integration a real part of our society, it can seem impossible when you're at day one of that movement, and it is a movement. But Dervla, as big as this challenge is, and as massive as it seemed a moment ago when we compared it against the 10%, if we just start to look at this differently as something that we can all do together, we can see it doesn't fit. Remember, make sure I don't take any pieces away.
No, I'm watching.
Oh, you watching me, are you, Dervla?
I'm watching this time, yeah.
Sure you are.
I missed it last time, so I'm watching.
Oh, are you? Right, okay. So are you you're making up your own gags now, Dervla? Is that the... I don't know if you noticed or not, this isn't a double act, Dervla.
Sorry.
But, so we can see for certain that that doesn't fit. But even the biggest challenge with innovation just takes the tiniest amount of modification. And Dervla, it's still the same organisation, it's still the same school, it's still the same community. I know, I've got literally no friends, Dervla. This is still the same organisation, this is still the same culture, this is still the same community, this is still the same housing estate. There's just something new in there with a bit of reorganisation. And it still fits within exactly the same framework that it worked in. And, Dervla, even though we're doing more, even though we're doing it differently, it still goes right back, after time, after adjustment, right back into its comfort zone. Still the same people. They still care about the same things. They're just doing more, doing it differently, and maybe doing it with some new people. Spontaneous applause would be appropriate there. Thank you very much indeed, Dervla.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much indeed. So, the first thing that I really care about in my life is innovation, is looking at new and old ways of looking at new and old problems. I love to use analogies like this to help organizations and people and places think outside the box. The second thing I care about is integration in every aspect of life that we possibly can. The third thing I really care about, and it's linked to both of those things, is multiculturalism. I am ashamed to say, and embarrassed to say, that when I look around my daughter's primary school class, I recognize beautiful, brilliant multiculturalism. I see it, and I'm embarrassed that I see it. Because when I look at my daughter, I can see in the first few days that she has at P2, she looks around the room and that is invisible to her, that multiculturalism. She doesn't see the integration. It's one class full of all of her bestest friends. I'm ashamed that I spot it. I'm proud that we're getting there. And I know with my daughter and all of your youngsters and those around you too, with innovation, with integration, with multiculturalism, we're getting there. Thank you very much indeed.